So for a few days now, I've been saying that the animals are eating a little bit less feed, and I realized what it is. And if you take a look right here, you're gonna see that the manure is green and it's kind of loose. So the animals have actually been eating some grass. So the weather's not exactly good for growing grass, so I'm not really gonna fertilize it for about another well, I'm gonna take a look at it, and maybe I start fertilizing the grass starting about next week. But I realized what it was last night. I was taking a look at the rear ends of these animals, and if you take a look at the rear ends of these animals, they got some green diarrhea stuck to their rear ends, and so that's why they're eating less feed, is because they're eating a good bit of grass. So they're eating some grass. Maybe they're getting about 30% of their diet in grass, and so that's why they've been eating less feed. And so I figured it out. I was like, why are these animals slowly eating less feed? They're slowly eating less feed. I was wondering, what's going on. But that's what's happening, is that they're eating maybe about 25% of their diet in grass. And it's actually causing them to have a little bit of acidosis. And it's also turning their manure green. So I figured out what's going on. And this morning I went ahead and I took the small calves in the front to the vet. And then I brought them back. And next week, I'm going to let the small animals in the front, I'm going to let them out back here, and then I'm going to refill the preconditioning pens with new animals. Oh, I've been taking a look, and maybe I end up selling about 4 animals this month, or I end up selling about 4 animals next month. And then, but a lot of these animals, their average weights are kind of very similar. And so I may end up having to sell, okay, but the big thing about my business that one of the big things I'm looking to accomplish in terms of my business is that I want to put a stable amount of money into my business. So I want to put I've been talking about, I want to put I don't want to maximize, I don't want to pull all the cash out of my business, right? I've been talking about this. I don't want to pull all the cash out of my business, but I want to be in a situation where I'm pulling a set amount of cash out of my business every single month to put into my business account, because I want to show it to the banker, right? And I'm looking to get everything ready to go. And how am I looking to get everything ready to go? Right, this is the plan. Right, I have these animals, they're at this average weight. I would anticipate that if I liquidate this many animals every single month for effectively from now until forever, or the number of animals that I liquidate every month actually goes up, right? I put them on, et cetera, then I can put a certain amount of money in my bank account every single month. And the reason that I want to do that is so that I can show the banker, show the banker the money, right? That's the big idea, right? In terms of, that's what I've got going on in terms of the business side of things, right? I'm not looking to pull the maximum amount of cash out of my business. I'm not looking to do that. There's no reason to do that. I talk about this all the time. There's no reason to do that. Why would you want to pull the maximum amount of cash out of your business? If you pull the maximum amount of cash out of your business and then you end up holding on to that cash for the entire year, you'll end up getting taxed for a large portion of it. There's no reason to do that. If your assets are still profitable, if your assets are still, if they're still profitable, there's no reason to liquidate the asset. Well, I mean, not no reason. There are reasons to liquidate your assets. But pulling maximum cash out of your business is not a good idea. There's no reason to do that, right? I talk about this all the time, and I've been putting a lot of emphasis on this idea, right? There's no reason to do that. So, what am I looking to accomplish in terms of the business side of things? I've taken a look at my balance sheet. I've appraised my assets. I've determined an evaluation for my assets. I've taken a look at the long term. What am I looking to accomplish? Right? I took a look at these various things, and I'm looking to pull a certain amount of cash out of my business every single month. Right? Am I looking to pull the maximum amount of cash out of my business every single month? No, I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking to pull a stable amount of money out of my business every month, an amount of money that won't effectively damage my business, but it also, it provides me enough money to, I can show it to the banker, right? I'm not going to damage my business pulling cash out of my business, right? I've taken a look at my balance sheet. I've appraised my assets. I've taken a look at it for what it is. I've come up with a plan, and this is the plan, right? I'm going to pull this amount of money out of my business every single month from now until the foreseeable future, maybe forever. If anything, the amount of money that I'm going to pull out of my business every month is going to go up, because I can actually expand my business and pull cash out of the business at the same time if I felt like it, right? That's the big idea. I can actually grow my balance sheet and pull cash out of my business at the same time if I had the right facilities. And that's why I'm also looking to buy myself a big old piece of land, right? That's the big idea. That's the whole thing. That's the whole shebang. Why am I looking to do what I'm doing with the business plan? What am I looking to do in terms of the business plan? And when I do that, what's the reason for doing it? I want to buy myself a very, very, very big piece of land. I'm looking at maybe buying myself about 350 acres. All right, that's the big idea. Right, and so, that's the whole big picture, big shebang. That's what I got going on in terms of the business, right? I can actually pull cash out of my business and grow the size of my herd at the same time. If I, under the right circumstances, if I have, I'm looking to buy myself a very big piece of land, right? And if you take a look at it in terms of what, it is what it is. If I sell 4 animals next month, right, I sell my 4 biggest animals. I anticipate that the average weight of these animals are going to be about 750, body conditioning score about 6. Right, more or less a beef animal, 1 to 1.5 type medium large frame, some sort of a beef animal. If I sell 4 animals, I still have 29 animals left. The 4 animals that I sold were the animals that had the least profit margin to be made. I've made the most amount of money on them, and also they have the least amount of money to be made on them. So I'm selling my 4 biggest animals. I still have 29 animals, and I'm going to bring in new animals. Those 29 animals are still going up in value. They are effectively a stabilized herd, what I call a stabilized herd, right? The 29 animals, I'm not really going to have a whole lot of problems with those 29 animals. So I'm going to use the return on those 29 animals to keep my business profitable while I risk some of my money to bring in new animals. Right, and if I take a look at it for what it is, even if I sold those 4 animals and I had 29 animals left over, those 29 animals, I could easily go, if I sold those 29 animals, I could easily buy 45 animals. I'm still in the net positive 16 animals. So if I decide that, oh, well, I want to hold on to some cash or whatever, I could even take a loan against the equity, and if I really wanted to, I could even take a loan against the entire equity position of my cattle. All right, if I really felt like it, I could. Right, if I take a loan against a small portion of just the net positive evaluation of my herd, it puts me at 0 risk, right? And this is a very realistic way to put it. Let's say I go and I sell 4 animals. So I have 29 animals left, right? I have 29 animals left, and these 29 animals are worth about 45 animals. So I have 4 big animals worth of money. I'm holding on to that money. I go to the bank, I take a loan, I take a look at my herd and I say, well, my 29 animals, they're worth about 45 animals. So I go to the bank, I'm net positive 16 animals. I just sold 4 animals. I have some cash. I'm still holding on to these animals. So I go to the bank and I take a loan for 8 more animals. And every single one of those 8 animals die. Every single one instantaneously drop dead. And I feel like, well, that's enough for me. I don't want to be in the cattle business anymore. I would still have 4 animals worth of money and 8 animals worth of equity, right? It wouldn't matter, right? I mean, it puts me at a borderline net 0. Not even at a net 0. I could still walk away from the business with a couple, several, I could walk away from the business with money in my pocket. It wouldn't matter, right? That's the big idea. Right, I mean, that's the big picture idea, right? Even if I went to the sale barn tomorrow and I said, well, I just sold 4 animals, I still have these 29 animals, right? When I take a look at the 29 animals I would think are worth about this much money. So I want to take a portion of that, and I want to go and I want to just buy more animals, right? I just want to go and buy more animals. And so I go and I say, well, I'm net positive 16 animals, so I buy 8 animals. I'm holding on to 4 animals worth of cash. 4 big animals worth of cash. I have money. I have a net positive equity in my cattle. Even if all 8 animals drop dead instantaneously, I would still have 8 animals worth of equity in my herd. And I would also have the 4 animals that I liquidated worth of cash. And then I could walk away from the business. Right, I mean, it doesn't, and so that's what that's another way to look at it. All right, I'm not liquidating all of my animals at the same time. There's no reason to do that. I'm not looking to pull maximum cash out of my business. There's no reason to do that. right? What am I looking to do? Pull an amount of money out of my business that I believe is a reasonable amount of money. And when I pull that amount of money out of my business, I'm not taking my business to zero to do it. I'm just taking a reasonable amount of money out of my business. I still have money in the assets, right, etc., etc. And why am I looking to do that, right? Because I'm looking to produce a stable amount of money every single month. If anything, the amount of money that I generate every month is actually going to go up on a vertical scale. All right, that's the big idea. All right, I'm looking to produce a stable amount of money out of my business every single month. I still have a net positive evaluation in the equity appraisal of my animals. Right, if I wanted to hold on to cash, I could actually go to the bank and take a loan for a small portion of the net positive, half of the net positive equity, and the net positive equity is actually going up, granted that I do my part. Right, granted that I bring in the right type of cattle, I raise them the right type of way, I put them on the right type of medication, I grow the grass the right way, I run the business, I knowledgeably run the business. Granted that these conditions are met, the net equity valuation of my herd is actually still going up. And if the net equity valuation of my herd is not going up, then I will liquidate the animals, reasonably, to make the net equity valuation go up, so that I can actually start making money again. Right, that's the big idea. Right, am I going to liquidate all of my animals at the same time? No, I'm not going to do that. Why would I do that? Am I looking to bring home the maximum amount of cash every single month? No, there's no reason to do that. All right, cash is the most heavily taxed. If you bring home a maximum amount of cash and then you hold on to that cash, you're going to get taxed a very large amount. Right, if your assets are still profitable, there's no reason to liquidate that asset if it's still profitable. If it's still producing you a positive return, there's no reason to liquidate the asset. If you want access to the money, or if you need some money, then don't liquidate everything, right? Liquidate maybe 3% or something, right? Or liquidate a small portion, liquidate the most profitable, least profit margin to be made. Right, and that's the big idea of the business, right? That's what I'm looking to accomplish over the next 3 months or so. I'm looking to, I'm going to get my taxes filed. I'm going to be producing a stable amount of money every single month. I've got everything lined up, right? I've got everything ready to go. I've got everything squared away. My herd is drastically in the net positive. I would anticipate that I liquidate about maybe on the average about 6.5 animals a month over the next 5 months. And my animals are still in the net positive. If I went and I liquidated, I would anticipate that the beginning of next month I liquidate 4 animals. And if I liquidate those 4 animals, I'll still have 29 animals. Those 29 animals are going to be worth about 45 animals. If I want to hold on to cash, I could if I want to hold on to some cash, I could take a loan for half of the net equity positive position of my herd, bring in new animals, right? There are a lot of things that I can do. I can balance the balance sheet, right? I can take a look at my assets. I can take a look at my cash portfolio. I can take a look at my tax burdens, etc., etc. What am I looking to do with the money? How much money do I want to make every month, and etc., etc. Right, that's the big thing about me, is that, and I was talking about this yesterday, and I know that it sounds kind of horrible, but it just is what it is. I'm not saying this to be a malicious person. I'm not saying this to be whatever, a horrible person. I'm not saying this with any malicious intent. I'm just saying it is what it is. The thing about me that it legitimately is it's different. The perspective of my situation is different, is that I legitimately have there is 0% of me, not even 0.001% of me is concerned about money. I have zero money problems. I have zero money concerns. I'm not worried about people not eating beef in 40 years. I still think that people are going to be eating beef in 40 years. If anything, the price of beef is going to go up in 40 years. All right, and if you want to learn how to farm, I actually don't know anybody that can even do 10%. All right, farming is a hard skill set. It doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what you think. If you legitimately think that you can become a farmer in the next 5 years and you can go and make yourself, you can go and produce yourself, $20,000 a month like me, then have fun. All right, you legitimately think you can do it, then have fun. Don't drag me down with you. I mean, but that's the thing about me, is that I legitimately have zero money concerns. Zero, none whatsoever. Money does not concern me in any way. In any way, shape, or form, it does not concern me. If I want more money, I will just run more cattle. That's how money works out for me. I legitimately have zero money concerns. And you would be very surprised, right? I always say that, my thing is that, you can't hide in the tall grass, right? And people come up with all sorts of ridiculous things to make a little bit of money. Oh my God, well, maybe if I fit in, and maybe if I became buddy pals with this person, and maybe if I came up with this ridiculous scheme, then maybe I can make myself a couple extra $1,000, right? I mean, oh my God, maybe it'll work out for me in a magical fashion, right? It'll work out for me in some mystical magical fashion, and then I can go on a journey into Disneyland. But that's ridiculous. If you really want to make money, how do you do it? You take your money and you invest that money into a very large equity asset, right? If you really want to make money, you don't go on these journeys, you don't go on these adventures. All right, you don't come up with these ridiculous things. How do you do it? You take your money and you buy good assets. That's how you do it. All right, if you legitimately want to, that's the most sincere thing I could say. I'm not saying this to be a malicious person. I'm not saying this to be a horrible person, but you would be surprised. I mean, you can't hide in the tall grass, right? I always say you can't hide in the tall grass. There is no hiding. It's very obvious. Oh well, maybe if I come up with this this scheme, right? If I come up with this worthless thing, and and it turns out for me in some magical fashion, it's gonna turn out fantastic, and I can go skipping off into Disneyland. But that's not how it works. It doesn't work out. How do you actually make money? You find a good asset, right? That asset is very equitable, produces a positive return, and then you put your money into that asset, and then you hold on to that asset forever. You never sell it. That's how you make money. All right, is working an extra 5 hours a day going to save your life? No, it's not going to save your life. All right, if anything, you're probably going to have to go and find a different job. And when you find a different job, you're looking to make more money. You take that money and then you invest it. That's how you financially get ahead. There is no magical journey. All right, there is no Disneyland adventure. All right, nobody cares about your dreams. Money talks. All right, at the end of the day, it is what it is. When you take a look at my situation, I mean, I legitimately have zero money concerns. Zero, none whatsoever. And I think that is what is like so, maybe it's off-putting. I don't know, I don't know how you would describe it, but I would think that maybe that's one thing about my perspective that it's just like it's different. If I want more money, which I don't. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't want more money, but at the end of the day, I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, I want to expand my business so I can make more money. The money is already negligible to me. It's already negligible, because think about it like this. If I sat on a 10.5 acre farm and made whatever, $15,000 a month, $20,000 a month for the rest of my life, I could comfortably live on that money. I wouldn't worry about money forever. All right, I could sit on a 10.5 acre farm, and I could just run cattle on my 10.5 acre farm forever, and I wouldn't worry about money into infinity and beyond. All right, why do I want to grow my business? Because I believe that it's going to be a good challenge for me. All right, I think it's going to be, I believe that I'm doing, good for, am I saving people? Am I a saint? No, I'm not. But I mean, I believe that I'm doing good for humanity. Right, that's the big idea. Right, am I a malicious person? No, I'm not. Right, I mean, I'm not some horrible malicious person. Right, I'm just, I look to do good for humanity. Am I going to go around and save people? No, I'm not. Why? Because it's like the analogy of giving people a fish. You can't give somebody a fish. All right, if you give them a fish, eventually they're going to run out of fish, and then they're going to go right back to acting like a bum beggar. All right, you have to teach people how to fish. You want to invest your money. And when you invest your money, you want to buy good assets. Effectively assets that are going to be worth something, they're going to be worth something for at least, your lifetime. The S&P 500 is a very good example, right? The S&P 500 is a collection of the 500 biggest companies in America. The entire, effectively, it's a gauge for the entire U.S. economy. If the entire U.S. economy, if half of the U.S. economy were to evaporate tomorrow, which it won't, if you're legitimately afraid that the U.S. economy is going to go and like half of the economy is going to disappear tomorrow, you're going 180 degrees in the wrong direction. If anything, you should worry about it going the other way. All right, if it looks like half of the economy is going to evaporate tomorrow, I mean, the central bank may legitimately take interest rates negative and print trillions of dollars. Do I think either of those situations are going to happen? No, I don't. That's like a doomsday scenario. I don't think that we're going to have a doomsday scenario. I think that more or less we're just going to have a little bit of inflation. Maybe inflation is going to be a little bit bad, and then et cetera, et cetera. That's what I think is going to happen. All right, I don't see the world in doomsday scenarios. All right, and when it just is what it is. Okay, and so so if that's from what I but the thing about this whole situation is that but I mean that's the best way for me to put it. I think that the thing is that when you look at me, the thing that is most off-putting, I think that the thing that the thing about my perspective that I think that most people do not understand, the thing that about my perspective that most people do not understand is that I legitimately have zero money concerns. I have zero money concerns. I don't worry about money at all. I mean, because and I was talking about this yesterday, but let's take a look at my business plan. Let's take a look at my business plan, right? I'm looking to buy myself a piece of land. A piece of land is equitable, right? And I can get the market value of that land by having the bank appraise it, right? Like if I go to the bank right now and I say I want to buy this piece of land, they'll appraise it for me. They'll tell me what it's worth. When I start my business, it's not like I need a large amount of capital to run a business. I mean, for me to run about 35 cattle, it costs about $1,500 a month, right? I don't need a large amount of money to run cattle, right? I can start the business myself. I don't need 5, 6, 7 people. It's just me, right? If you put me on a field tomorrow, I would grow the grass by myself. I would go and source the cattle by myself. I would start the business by myself, right? I mean, I would. So I mean, it's not like it's going to cost a lot of money. The land is equitable. I can get the market value of the land by taking it to a banker and having the banker look at it. The business, I can run it by myself more or less, and if I can't run it by myself, maybe I go and hire a veterinarian, right? I mean, and the business is not going to cost a lot of money. And this is the whole thing, right? If let's say I go and I buy myself a 400-acre piece of land. Let's say I go and I buy myself a 350-acre piece of land, and I just say, you know what? I don't want to farm anymore. I don't want to be a farmer anymore. I just want to go and sit on a 10.5-acre field and make $20,000 a month for the rest of eternity. That's what I want to do. Well, then I can always sell the land for market value, get effectively all of my money back. I could sell the cattle for market value, get all of the money back, and then I can just shut the business down. That's not going to cost me anything. Right, it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm throwing money into some magical, journey, right? Oh my God, maybe if I throw money at this thing, then it's gonna work out for me, and I'll make a bunch of money, and then I can just go skipping off into the sunset. It's not like that, right? I'm buying land. I'm buying a commodity asset, cattle. And if I really decided, oh well, this is not for me, and I want to go back and just sit on a 10.5-acre field for the rest of my life and make $15,000 a month, then I can always go back and do that. It doesn't matter. And at $15,000 a month, I would effectively make enough money already to do anything on the entire planet. I could live more than comfortably with $15,000 a month. All right, more than comfortably, it wouldn't matter. All right, and so, I legitimately have zero money concerns. And I think that is what is the most off-putting. I think that, like, when you watch me, the thing that most people probably don't understand, in terms of when you see my perspective, when I give my perspective, a part of my perspective is that I legitimately have zero money concerns. Zero, none whatsoever. If I really, oh my God, want to make some more money, which I don't think about, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, the money is negligible already. I mean, even if I tripled my income, it's not going to be like, oh my God, now I can buy three trucks, right? It doesn't matter. Money is already more or less just negligible to me. I'm not worried about, oh my God, what if people stop eating beef? What if the price of beef goes to zero in the next 40 years? I'm not worried about that. Right? Well, oh my God, what if the price of land goes to zero in the next 40 years? I'm not worried about that. If anything, it's going to go the other way. Beef price is going to go up and land price is going to go up too. All right, I'm not worried about, oh my God, what if people stop eating beef in the next 40 years? Oh my God, and the thing about farming, and I talk about this all the time, but farming is going to be one of the hardest things. If you legitimately want to learn how to farm, and just to put things in a very realistic perspective, if I was just going to give you my realistic view on things and just be completely honest and completely sincere about it, I actually do not know anybody that can even do 10%. I don't personally know anybody that can even do 10%. A lot of people look like a disaster waiting to happen. All right, most people do. All right, I don't even know anybody that can even do 10%. All right, and if you actually want to learn how to farm like this, it's going to take a very long time. But I mean, the thing is the most realistic way to achieve something like this is, get to the 10% mark as fast as you can. Get to the 10% mark as fast as you can. Have good information. Oh, well, if I want to grow grass, then this is how you grow grass, right? You need to, provide the soil with minerals, right? You need to provide the grass with minerals, right? This is how you grow grass. This is how you run cattle. Have the right information and then start practicing. That's effectively the best thing that if you realistically want to make it to become a farmer like this, that is more or less the most realistic way that you can do it. First of all, you need to have the right information. All right, if you want to grow grass, this is how you do it. More or less, this is how you do it. There is no exact answer to everything. I tell you about how I think about things because I always say that the world is a very dynamic situation. There is no universal answer. If there was a universal answer, I would give it to you. There is no universal answer. You have to take a look at your situation and determine something for yourself within a reasonable margin. Oh, well, this is how you grow the grass. If you want to grow the grass, this is how you do it. These type of cattle bring in, this is the type of cattle that I run. These are the beef cattle. And, this is how I, budget for them. This is how I look at it, determine how much are they worth, et cetera, how much money can I make on them. That's how I determine it, right? I mean, you need to have the right information and then you need to practice. All right, but that was one of the things that really, really, really benefited me. Was that when I was learning, I would read books, right? I had access to Google. The books were free. I could go on, I always say that the place that I get my information is a website called Google Scholar. I would go on Google Scholar and I would read scientific papers, right? I would read scientific papers, and that's how I collected my information. And that was one thing that benefited me to a very, very, very high degree, is that I looked up information. I didn't ask for opinions. I looked up information. How do plants grow? What kind of medication should I use for my cattle? Right? What kind of fertilizer, how much fertilizer was given to this, et cetera, that's the kind of stuff that I read about. All right, when it comes to, the soil conditions, what are the, what kind of, whatever, right? I mean, we applied water, we utilized, a drip irrigation system and, had 3 different irrigation pumps. And on pump 1, we used 75 ppms of nitrate. On pump number 2, we used 100 ppms of nitrate. And on pump number 3, we used 125 ppms of nitrate. And then we put 1 inch of water across 1 acre of land, utilizing the 3 different pumps. And this was the type of grass that we grew. This was the kind of soil that we had. And these were the conditions for the soil, the pH, the texture, etc., etc. And this was the biomass that we accumulated across the 3 different fields. That was the kind of information that I read. Right, that's something that benefited me drastically when I was young. When I sat there and I read and I learned about these different things and I was practicing, I was reading objective information. I was not asking for opinions. That benefited me to a very, very, very high degree. All right, and I still do it to this day. If I want to find information, I'll go and I'll read a scientific paper. All right, I don't ask for opinions. Money talks. It just is what it is. All right, and if you want to take a look at my situation and you want to consider it for what it is, and I just give you my honest belief, and from what I have honestly seen, sincerely seen from myself, I actually do not know anybody that has even gotten to the 10% mark. I don't know anybody that's even done 10%, not a single person. All right, farming is not easy. It's going to be one of the hardest things that you could ever imagine doing. And the most realistic way to do it is to get the right information and then to start practicing. And it's going to take a long time. All right, if you think that you can make it in 5 years, you're not going to make it in 5 years. You're going to end up throwing yourself off a cliff after the first year, after the first month. You're not going to make it. It's going to take a very long time. All right, it's going to take a long time. I mean, it takes a lot of experience, and, you know, it just takes a long time. And there's no skipping the work. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, if you actually take a look at what I did, and then you take a look at it in terms of a global success rate for the entire world, if you take a look at what I did, and then you take a look at it in terms of a success rate for the entire U.S. as a country, it's a 0.00001% success rate. Even this right here is borderline 0%. All right, and I know that you know, but it just is what it is. I don't even know anybody that can even do 10%. And if you want to take a look at what I'm looking to do, I mean, that's what I'm looking to do, right? Maybe I start liquidating about 6.5 animals every month. It takes me about 5 months to liquidate all of my animals. By the time I liquidate all of my animals, I'll have the new animals ready to go. I'm looking to provide a stable amount of income from my business every single month from now until effectively infinity. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I want to show it to the banker, and I want to get myself a big old piece of land. And if I decide that I don't want that big old piece of land and I don't want to run cattle anymore, I can always just sell the land, get the money back, and I can sell the cattle and get the money back. If I decide, oh well, I don't want to be a farmer anymore. Turns out farming was a horrible idea and I don't want to do it anymore, and I just want to go back to farming a 10.5 acre field. I can always just sell the land, and I can always just sell the cattle. I'm not buying some worthless asset. Right? I'm going to buy the land at appraisal value. That's market value. Right? And when I go and sell cattle, I effectively, if I take them to the right sale barn, they'll give me market value for those animals too. So, I mean, it just is what it is, right? I mean, I'm looking to do a stable return on my business every single month from now into effectively infinity. If you take a look at my balance sheet as for what it is right now, if I sold 4 animals, I would bring home 4 big animals worth of money. I would say that they're worth about, they're going to be hitting the scales at about 750 and a body conditioning score 6, and they're good beef animals. All right, I got 4 of them going to market next month. So I would bring home 4 animals worth of big animals worth of money. I would still have 29 animals. Those 29 animals are worth about 45 animals worth of equity. If I wanted to hold on to more, if I wanted to hold on to the cash, then I could even just take a loan for a small portion of the net equity positive of the herd. And I'm very far in the positive. Right now I'm very far in the positive. I'm doing very well for myself. And I'm looking to pull cash out of the business and grow the business at the same time. But if I'm going to grow, if I really want to grow my business, I'm going to need a big piece of land. And when I buy the big piece of land, I'm effectively going to buy it at market value, appraisal value, or less. I mean, if I got it for less, that'd be fantastic. And the business, it doesn't cost me much money to run. The business is not, some cash intensive business. It costs me about maybe $1,500 a month to raise about 35 cattle. It's not, and I make a substantial amount of money on these animals. It doesn't matter. The money doesn't matter. I've always said that the $1,500 a month that it costs me to run my 35 cattle is the very least of my worries. I don't care about the $1,500. All right, and so, it's not some cash intensive business. It's not like, oh my God, I need some massive amount of money to run this business. I mean, and the land is going to be appraisal value. The business effectively revolves around investing in commodities, and and it's if I really decide that I want to, if I really decide that, hey, I don't want to do this business anymore, then I can always just liquidate the assets and come back to a 10.5 acre field, and I could just make myself $20,000 a month forever. And even then, I would not have any money problems. I'm not even worried about, oh my God, well, what if the price of beef goes to zero? What if the price of the land goes to zero? I'm not worried about stuff like that. Well, oh my God, what if robots come in and start running cattle? I'm not worried about that. All right, it's not going to happen. But that's the thing about me. The thing about me is that I legitimately have zero money concerns. I don't worry about money at all. 0%, legitimately 0%. And I think that maybe it's off-putting, or maybe it's like, oh my God, but that's the one thing about my perspective. I think that that's interesting. And it's like, you probably, most people probably don't understand. This is what it looks like when you have legitimately zero money concerns. I've always, and I've been even talking about this, and I talk about this all the time, but it's kind of ridiculous, the things that people do for money. Oh my God, well, what if I fit in? Maybe I can make myself an extra $500. Oh my God, well, what if I sold my soul to the devil? Maybe I can make an extra $2,000. Oh my God, well, what if, I, went on some altruistic journey, and I thought of myself as a good person, and, then I can make myself an extra $1,000. It's kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, it's like, in reality, if you want to make more money, how do you do it? You invest in good assets. That's how you do it, okay? That's the answer. I've been telling you that that's the answer for a very long time. If you really want to make more money, the way you do it is you invest your money into good assets. All right, if you invest in the S&P 500, it's a very realistic possibility for most people. Could you become a multimillionaire investing in the S&P 500? Absolutely, you could. Are you going to make several $billion investing in the S&P 500? Probably not. But I mean, you can make enough money to where money wouldn't matter to you anymore if you invested in the S&P 500. All right, and if you did that, and and that's real, but I mean, if you legitimately want to go and become a 1 in 2 billion type farmer, maybe there are 3 or 4 people on the entire planet that can run a business like this, and I'm one of them. All right, if you really want to do it, then have fun. All right, I don't know anybody that can even do 10% to this day. All right, a majority of people look like a major catastrophe just waiting to happen. All right, and if I take a look at a farm, I can take a look at a farm and determine the balance sheet of that farm within 3 minutes of looking at that farm. All right, I do this legitimately 24/7. I made it into like the very, 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 very top percentiles of the entire U.S. economy doing this. It doesn't matter what you think. Opinions don't matter. Money talks. All right, it just is what it is. And so, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, but that's the thing about me, is that I legitimately have zero money concerns. And I think that may be off-putting. It might be different. But if I want more money, more money, with that, it's not going to make a difference. Am I going to make more money? Probably. I'll probably end up making more money. I'll probably end up making a drastic amount of money. But even now, I already make enough money to do anything practically on the entire planet. I could legitimately shovel $500,000 into a hole in my backyard right now and light that $500,000 on fire, and it wouldn't even do anything. Legitimately, honest to God. All right, it wouldn't even do anything. All right, so, I already make enough money to effectively do anything on the entire planet. What am I going to do with the money? I'm going to grow my business. That's the plan. How am I going to do it? I've already given you the plan like 3 times in this video alone. All right, so that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.